Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Justin, if you don't already know, but you probably do. And today it is my third video recapping the Olympics, and I'm so excited to have a special guest on for the first time. Erin, say hello to everybody.
Hi guys, I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so I just wanted to introduce Erin for a little bit. We've been following each other on Twitter for maybe a few years by now. So I just
Yeah,
wanted to
I think
say
so.
I love all your tweets. You tweet often. You are so smart and knowledgeable about every discipline in figure skating. I'm so impressed every time you tweet out, and you're just a very respectable person. So
Oh,
I'm glad to
thank
have you on
you.
here. Okay, so let's get started in the ladies. Erin, would you agree with the statement that the gold medal was between the two Russian ladies, Evgenia and Alina?
Yes, I definitely think it was. I think just leading up to this event was so dominant that it was really difficult to imagine any scenario where anyone else won the gold medal. So I think that it was unfortunately kind of a two-horse race in that way, which I think some people might find to be less exciting, but we all kind of knew it was coming.
I actually thought it was pretty exciting because the race for the bronze medal had so many ladies who could have
Yes.
potentially won. But I think so many people thought that Evgenia was gonna win the gold medal. And I'm not gonna lie, Erin, I actually thought Alina could have won. And I'm not terribly upset that she did. I do, however, think that Evgenia should have won based on her raw skating skills. And I, in the past, have not been known for loving Evgenia. I will admit that. But I gotta say, she's grown a lot on me, especially
Mhm.
at the way with the way she skated at the Olympic Games. I don't know, is she miming less or is she skating better?
I think I agree that I wasn't a big fan of her. I find her programs to be it's a little bit too much shtick for me a lot of the time. I think that the it's a little overwrought. It's a bit much. I've always respected her technical abilities, and I think she's an amazing competitor. The one thing that I think hurt her here is I do think that since the injury, especially this season, I think her jumps have declined in quality in a way that's noticeable. I think you can tell that they're a struggle for her. They don't come that easily
Mm-hmm.
anymore. They seem a little bit labored, and I do think that that might have been where she lost the edge. I think if she had been jumping the way she did maybe a year or two ago, it might have been a different story here. But I think that unfortunately, I think the past few months have been rough for her, and it was just kind of bad timing for all of that to happen.
Yeah, do you think it was her jump quality or the jump layout she had? Because I think Alina definitely had the edge, especially in the short program, going for the triple lutz triple loop combination.
Yes. I think her base value is higher because that was a harder combination. Also, she fully backloads her free skate. And I don't know, I personally find it hard to believe that Evgenia hasn't tried that. They train in the same rink. I would
Right?
imagine she sees what she's doing, sees the numbers. And I do have to wonder if maybe she wasn't having success with it. If she was trying a backloaded program and there were too many mistakes, or maybe it just wasn't working out because it
Mm-hmm.
does but or also she might have just felt that she was a more well-rounded skater and that she didn't need to do that. And I think that's a whole conversation that I'm sure we'll have. But I think coming into this, I kind of expected this outcome. I would have preferred to see Evgenia win, but I had a feeling that this was the direction that the tides were turning after Europeans. I think that she kind of had the momentum.
Yeah, it's just so crazy to think about it because this is Alina's first full season on the senior ranks internationally. Like, isn't she still the reigning world junior champion?
Hmm.
Oh gosh, that's insane. I think if I were Evgenia, I would believe that I have a little bit of a cushion. Maybe she got a little
Hmm.
nervous heading into the competition, getting a little bit of an inkling that Alina had the potential to dethrone her.
Yeah, and I think what made it so difficult to watch in a way was that Evgenia didn't really leave anything on the table. She skated two clean programs. She
Yeah.
was putting her arm above her head on every jump and every skate. You could tell she was going for any little point that she could get. And she even said to her coach in the Kiss and Cry, she said, I did everything I could. I think that
Mm-hmm.
she knew that she did. And I think that there were a lot of skating fans that thought if they were both clean, that the outcome would not have been what it was. But I see what happened. I think that Alina just maximized the technical points. I think that she took advantage of the judging system in a way that we really haven't seen before, and I'm sure that we'll now probably continue to
Yeah,
see.
and which she's
And
allowed to do.
yeah, and I mean, I don't think so. I don't know that I would say that I don't think the outcome was correct. I think it
Yeah.
probably was correct just based on the judging system that we've created. I think that that kind of was how it was going to turn out. But I think that especially skating fans who have followed the sport and have followed Evgenia for years now and watched her be so dominant, I think that was kind of difficult to watch that unfold. Although I thought that she handled it just beautifully. I was so impressed by her. I mean, she's only
Oh, yeah.
17 years old as well, and
Mhm.
you could tell that she was devastated when the marks came up, but she was so classy about it. She immediately went and hugged her competitor. And I thought she held herself together very, very well. And I really gained a lot of respect for her.
Yeah, I don't think she once ever showed a sign of poor sportsmanship at all. So kudos to her.
Yes, definitely.
And then one other point I was going to make, we could see this coming. So it's definitely a different case from 2014 in Sochi, where Adelina Sotnikova came out of the blue after the team event was done and after Yulia Lipnitskaya had faltered in the short program there. So two different scenarios and outcomes. Let's talk about Kaetlyn Osmond of Canada winning the
Mm-hmm.
bronze medal. Kaetlyn could not have chosen a better time to skate a clean, long program. I mean, that girl is a short program skater, always tends
Mm-hmm.
to make mistakes in the long. She still gets really good results because the judges love her. She gets really high
Mm-hmm.
program component marks. But wow, it actually, her jumps were great. They were actually, I think they were a little more wilder than they normally are. She just was able
Yeah.
to be very cat-like with those landings.
I always watch her jumps, and as a former skater, I'm just
Hmm.
amazed that she can ever land them because they look so out of control. Like sometimes they look tilted in the air, they're
Yeah.
so big, but she's somehow figured it out. And I agree. Well, I will say when she stepped out of that one Lutz in the free skate, I was like, oh, is this it? Like, is this going to be the free skates we've seen from her this season, unfortunately? But you could tell she wasn't letting it go. She was like, nope, not today.
Hmm.
And she fought for every element. Yeah, she really put it together when it mattered the most for sure.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think of the right word to describe it. It's almost like she was extremely excited, but wasn't so much that she was like jumping out of her body and out of her
Hmm.
skates. So kudos to
Yes, yeah.
her. I'm trying to think what else to say because Kanishka is the biggest fan of Kaetlyn Osmond, and he's always tired of how much I talk about Gabby Daleman. But no, just kudos to Caitlin. Short and long, did it at the right time. Yeah, you know
Yeah,
what?
I mean,
She always talks about wanting to have fun. I think that was the most fun I've ever seen her have.
I agree. I mean, I think you could tell that she knew she could do it. She knew that she had that performance in her, and she knew that she wasn't going to let those mistakes like take this away from her this time. And I think you saw that determination. I mean, I think much better vehicle for her. The Swan Lake Black Swan has never really done much for me,
Me
her
neither.
interpretation. I think that that was kind of a typical example of, oh, let's pick a recognizable piece for the Olympic season. She didn't seem to really connect with it the way she seems to connect with her short program. But I mean, hey, it got the job done here. And I do think, especially when you look at her next to the Russian girls, her jumps are just so much bigger. It's like night and day.
Oh
It's two
yeah.
completely different styles of skating, and I think that that's kind of it's nice to see. It's like you're watching like the Russians and you're watching all of these girls who are amazing jumpers, and then you see her and she just looks so completely different from them and is doing these huge jumps, and it feels like a more balanced skate in some ways. And I think that judges respond to that. I think viewers respond to that, and I think that it definitely made things interesting in that last group.
Absolutely. What I like about Caitlin is that you never have to question the rotation on her jumps. Because sometimes
Hmm.
they look a little close with the Russians, but never with Caitlin. And she also has a different body type. She's a little older. She has
Hmm.
some more curves on her body instead of being a little more thin like the Russian girl. So that makes what Caitlin does all the more impressive. And also, we have to remember that she wasn't in a good place, I think, in her life a few years ago after her injury
Hmm.
and placing 20 something in worlds one year. So, oh,
Yeah.
so great for Caitlin. Who else was great was, I want to call her your girl. I'm not sure if you use that term,
Yeah,
but you love Satoko Miyahara. Talk about her
I
performances
do.
here.
I was honestly so proud of her. I mean, she's also been through a lot with injuries in this past year or so. And I think it honestly took her until now to really get back to where she once was, content wise, and being able to do all of her jumps. And here, I thought that the rotation on her jumps looked so much more clear than it has in a while. I mean, like she hit that triple triple, and to me, there wasn't a question. I believe her as fully rotated. And I watched her, and of course she skated first in that last group, and I kind of knew what was to come and the backloading and all of that. And I watched and I thought, this is a balanced program.
Hmm.
She pays perfect attention to every movement. She finishes every movement. What I love about her is you can tell that she's a very like type A person, and she
She
applies
is.
that to her skating. Like she never leaves any stone unturned. She hit every jump. She just did everything she could. And of course, I was disappointed that that didn't get her a medal, but I was at least happy to see her scored fairly here. I mean, I think the scores she got were her best ever, and I was glad to see the judges recognize that in her. I think it would have been a little harder for me to swallow her being fourth had I felt that she'd been lowballed as she had been in the past, but I think the results were correct. And I do think that just her jumps are so tiny, and I think that that's always going to be something that holds her back, unfortunately. And I can't argue with that. I mean, you look at her jumps and then you look at Kaetlyn Osmond's jumps, and there is one that is, and that you don't have to question. They don't have to review it. And yeah, so I think the outcome was correct. I was still so happy that she skated two beautiful performances and
Yeah.
finished as high as she did.
Tiny jumps, but great rotations in this competition. I'm looking at her protocols right now, zero
Yeah.
carats. And I'm
Hmm.
actually kind of shocked to see that. I've seen her protocols at
Yeah.
other competitions. And
I
it's kind
know.
of like her and Mariah Nagasu are on the same wavelength sometimes, but not
Yes.
here. Crystal clean. And you're right, you mentioned her jumps in comparison to Caitlin Osmond's. I'm going between the two protocols. I think the difference, technically speaking, is the grade of executions.
Hmm.
Caitlin Osmond gets a lot of threes, Satoko gets a lot of ones.
And that's
There we go.
correct. I mean,
Hmm.
that is how jumps should be marked. So, I mean, I think, but it was just nice to see the other side of Satoko skating rewarded here.
That's true. Musicality, she pays attention to the choreography. I feel like Satoko executes the program exactly how the choreographer intended her to do it.
Yes, I think that she definitely doesn't. I mean, I'm sure some skaters, you learn your program as you're trying to get all the jumps done. Probably some of the little flourishes fall out along the way. I don't see her ever letting that happen. I think that she is so dedicated and just wants to be perfect every time. And I'm so glad that she got to be here.
Yeah, I just want to discuss her score. So her total score was 222. And yeah, that does put her out of the medal contention as Caitlin Osmond had 231 and the Russians had 238. But you never know what might happen at Worlds.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the post Olympics world is always kind of an interesting one. Sometimes weird things happen. You never know. It could be her moment to be back on that podium. So
Yeah, too bad
we'll
none of
see.
the top three ladies are going to be missing out. I think they've all confirmed that they will attend.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's pretty rare, honestly. I mean, I think that I would be surprised if we saw the top men, at least two out of three of the top men, probably at Worlds, and probably dance. I would be shocked. I think Tessa and Scott have pretty much said that they're done. But
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, but also, I mean, when these girls are 15 and 17, why not
Yeah,
go to
right?
Worlds?
They have the energy. They
So
can bounce back quickly.
yeah.
I feel like I can't bounce back and I just make these YouTube videos and I just go on Twitter. I'm already like, I need a break. This is too much.
I know.
So, yeah, so Toko, Caitlin, and then Carolina Kostner, fifth overall. What did you make of her skates at the Olympics?
I thought that fifth place was very generous, honestly. I
Me
thought,
too.
especially in her free skate, I thought she should not have been scored above Kaori Sakamoto in the free skate. I just thought that the technical content just wasn't there for Carolina. She's a beautiful skater. She's so respected in the sport. I will admit that I've never been the biggest fan. I guess I
Me
just never
neither.
really bought into the hype about her or all the things people love about her. I can certainly recognize her qualities, but I just think tech up to the level of deserving to be in the top five here, considering how well so many skaters skated. And I think that she's propped up a lot for reasons, some of which are valid. I mean, there's certainly things that she does beautifully, but yeah, I thought especially in the free skate, her placement was a little egregious.
Yeah, I didn't see a triple triple from her at all, short or long program. The long program, oof, that was tough to watch as she made mistakes and she fought for the landings and not well on a lot of the jumps. I'm surprised they still propped up her program component marks.
Yeah, and that's the thing is program components, if the program's going as poorly as it was, that should be affecting the score because how can she be performing and interpreting it on that highest level when there's so many mistakes marring the program? I think that's something that's kind of difficult to understand. But I mean, I think that it's a reputation, she's and I certainly respect. I mean, she's been for such a long time. I mean, I think that's incredible. But yeah, I think just the technical content was not there for her.
Yeah, let's look at that program component marks. 75.65 total in their free skate. So that's a lot of nines. And let's compare it with Evgenia, who's 77. So at least Carolina didn't win in components. Still really high though for what she actually
Yes.
produced.
Yeah.
All right, now Kaori, my backloading Japanese princess. I'm not gonna lie, when she first debuted on the Grand Prix season earlier this year, I wasn't a big fan of hers,
Hmm.
but then I grew to like her because she had that attack. And I felt like after her first successful competition, she gained confidence and even her performance quality improved. And now I feel like she's ready to take on the future of Japanese skating or, the future like world of ladies figure skating.
Hmm.
She doesn't completely backload her free program, does she?
No, I don't
No.
believe so. She fully backloads the short, although in the
Mm-hmm.
short, I find it to be so much less glaring. I mean, I think that it works much better in the short.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she's really one that I mean, I don't think I knew who she was before this season.
No.
She really has burst onto the scene, and she's one where I'm very excited to see her future. I think that this Olympics came a little bit early for her in terms of her career and her development, but I hope that she's able to continue to improve for the next 4 years. I mean, yeah, I think that she executed a lot of jumps. Of course, she had a couple little mistakes that probably prevented her from being above Carolina, I guess, if that was how they were going to score
Mm-hmm.
them. But yeah, the one thing that I will say that kind of bugs me every time is I'm not sure that whoever choreographed her free program has ever actually seen the movie Amelie because she does a lot of like when she's kind of like hunched over and acting like a rag doll and the whole beginning. It's like it seems like they more choreographed it to the music, which is kind of fun and a little noise, and not actually to the story of the movie. Although I was very happy when she got the red dress because at least she was wearing a dress that seemed more appropriate, whereas she'd been wearing the olive green, and I was like, for a movie that's known for its beautiful color palette,
Mm-hmm.
why are we wearing this drab dress? But yeah, overall, I really like her. I mean, I thought she should be very proud of what she did here.
Excellent. Not gonna lie, I haven't seen the movie, but good to know that they can't get by you, Erin, because
Yeah.
you're very much in the industry of what is it, movies and plays, right?
Yes.
So you're allowed
Yeah.
to be a
So
stickler on choreography, especially when it's to soundtracks of famous movies.
yes.
Excellent. Okay. Next up in seventh place, we have Dabin Choi of Korea. Did not see her free skate. I saw her short program, and that was emotional. Wow, she must be under so
Yes.
much pressure to skate on home ice, especially when you have someone like Yuna Kim in the arena who's probably her idol and such a legacy in the sport for that country. Some people actually thought that she should have been scored higher. I actually have no opinion.
Yeah. I really enjoyed her performances here. I thought both of the South Korean women
Hmm.
actually had great moments here. I thought that they really brought it. And I mean, I thought that she skated great. I mean, the one thing I do think is I think I would like to see a little bit more face, a little bit more pizzazz. I mean, I think her skating is very soft in a way that's very beautiful, but sometimes I would just like to see a little bit more attack. I think that sometimes it's just a little bit one level, but she really turned out the best programs that she possibly could here. And they also spoke about how her mother passed away
Oh,
recently,
I
and I
did
know
not
that,
know that.
yeah, and she was like dedicating these Olympics to her, and yeah, I thought she should be so proud of what she did. I mean, I don't think anyone would have expected her to
Oh man.
finish in seventh. I mean, I think that that's
Yeah.
meant for her. So she should be very excited. I mean, it was so great too to hear how much the crowd supported their skaters. I mean, they would just went crazy for everyone
I
from South Korea,
know.
which was nice.
Yeah. What's the name of the Korean male skater? The young one?
Oh, is it? It's Jun
Yes.
something? Yeah,
Yes. Anyway, I
I
love
forget his
how
last name.
I felt
Yeah.
like the crowd was just as loud for Dabin as they were for him, which was so
Yes.
great to see.
Yeah.
Oh, probably made a big difference. And then we have the third Russian lady. I'm actually surprised that she was not in the top six. So we have Maria Sotskova, the I'm trying to be polite here, the not so exciting one of the Russian team, the one that people tend to forget, although she is really talented. Technically
Hmm.
speaking, she is proficient enough. I don't think her technique of putting her arm above her head while she jumps is as aesthetically pleasing as it is for her teammates. Um, I'm I'm not sure what else to say about her. I've actually fallen asleep while watching her performances before. Like, um, I think she struggled in the short program.
Hmm.
Yes, she was
Yeah, she had
12.
a really unfortunate short program, and I think she skated much better in the free, but I think it was just too much to come back from. I also would have
Yeah.
expected her to be much higher here.
Yeah. I think that's all I have to say about her. Did you have anything to add?
Not really. I mean, I do think that even getting that third spot for Russia was a tall order coming here.
Yeah,
I
because
mean,
how
when
is
you
the
think
team
about the
selected again?
competition. Well, so they did their nationals, but then they didn't announce the team until after Europeans, which I
That's
think is what
right.
they usually do, just to kind of make them, I guess, audition for it a second time. And she proved that she deserved the spot. And I think it was unfortunate to see her not skate well in this short, but yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I agree that I think kind of like a half bent arm over
Yeah.
her head that just looks very it really breaks up her line in a way that's really distracting.
Hmm.
So I think that unless you're able to extend and really make it seem like a feature, that not everybody has to try to jump with their arms over their head.
Yeah. Although I wouldn't be mad if Satoko started doing it. Well, who is it? I think Tiffany Langston from Twitter. She said that
Hmm.
she wouldn't mind if Satoko backloaded her programs or did like arm variations. She thinks it would be
Yeah.
perfectly fine if she did it.
I think that's also a really good point because, like I was saying about how Satoko struggles with her jumps being small and that hurting her, maybe that's what she needs, is that little extra something to get those grades of execution up. I like this idea. I support it.
Okay, we'll send a memo to Japan right after this
Yes.
video. All right, so Erin, get comfortable because we are going to discuss the three American ladies who finished ninth, 10th, and 11th.
Yes.
I'll let you start this.
Okay. Well, I think there's definitely a lot to say here.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and as unfortunate as it is, this is about what I expected. This is about where
Really?
I expected them to finish, just based on where they've scored internationally, the performances in recent seasons. I just didn't really, and also just how deep the field is internationally. I did not see a much better outcome. I do think the one wild card where I thought there was maybe a chance to break into the maybe even the top five was Mirai, because we've never seen Mirai skate two programs with clean triple axels, so we don't know how that would be scored, and we don't know where that would put her. So I think that was kind of the one where we didn't like there was more potential there that unfortunately didn't end up panning out. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, I think that it was the one thing that was surprising is it was surprising and kind of sad to see Brady make mistakes. But I have to imagine the pressure kind of got to her. I mean, it was just after three good competitions, everyone was acting like she's the most consistent skater ever, and she's still human and she's
Yeah.
still very new to the scene. And I think Karen, like I love Karen skating. I think Karen is very much a total package skater. And if she can find the time to put it all together, I think she could absolutely be a contender. But that's just eluded her, and I think it's almost to the point where the mistakes are the same mistakes. In the short, when she did the Lutz and didn't put a combo on it, she's done that so many times. It's at this point, it's almost what you expect. And I think that that's tough. I mean, Mariah, I think the most shocking thing was popping the axle in the free skate. I mean, I don't think anybody really saw that coming because she's been so great about just fully committing to that jump and going for it. But I don't know. I mean, I think that one thing to discuss is I think like also Gabby Daleman skated the team event and then had a worse showing here. And I think that the women had the longest gap in between the team event and
That's
their
right.
event. And in other disciplines, it seemed to kind of work the other way. Like there were people who skated the team event and it seemed to help them, and it seemed to help them do better. But I almost wonder if they had too long in between. Maybe it was like too much of a high and then too much of a low and then too much waiting. I don't know. I mean, I think that it's impossible to say what went wrong here and what happened. But personally, I was not expecting the U.S. women to medal. I would have been very surprised if anyone even cracked the top five. I feel like the mainstream media has been acting like we lost some medal opportunity. And
Yeah.
while I think the showing was probably a little bit worse than people expected,
Hmm.
that was never a reality. So, I mean, I don't think it's fair to act like they threw away a chance at the podium because that was never really there.
Yeah, I love how level-headed you are because I think I was very naive and expecting better. I think
Yeah.
what gives me a glimpse of hope is that Brady finished ninth and was a top placer of the American ladies while still making mistakes
Hmm.
in the long program. And I don't know why. I did not expect her to falter at any of her jumps. I think I caught on to the media hype. And I blame Tara
Hmm.
Lipinski because she did this to
Yeah.
Gabby Daleman too, when she said, Brady, it is not physically possible for her to miss a jump. And then she missed it and another one. So I kind of blame Tara Lipinski for that. But you're right. Brady is human. I think I tweeted out prematurely saying that maybe we shouldn't promote her as the top American lady if the Olympics are her first major international competition. But then again,
Yes.
a lot of other people are saying, what else could we have done? Put Ashley on the team when she hasn't been skating so well this season.
So I looked at the numbers for this
Okay,
because I've
great.
also been you know that I love Ashley. Ashley's been my favorite skater in this event for the past several years plus. But even Ashley at her best, which her best combined score was 2016 Worlds, would have been fifth here.
Um,
And we also have to acknowledge that that competition was 2 years ago and that she has not been able to duplicate that since. So realistically, it probably would have been more like seven
yeah,
skated more on par with how she'd skated more recently. I mean, I think that there just was no magic answer to this whole thing.
no,
Like, there really wasn't. I mean, I think that had Mariah put together a clean triple axel on every skate, then maybe the conversation would be different. But that was also a long shot. She'd also been trying it all season, and the team event was the first time that she hit it, even
yeah,
though, of course, we see videos of her doing a lot in practice and everything. But I don't know. I mean, I definitely think that it's something that U.S. figure skating needs to consider over the next 4 years, how we can prevent this from sliding even further downhill, and how we can really start grooming people from a younger age, maybe to be able to not only keep up technically and artistically with the rest of the world, but to be able to compete mentally and to not psych people out with all of this hype and to prepare people for these situations. Because, I mean, I think ultimately it was a team that Mariah is the exception. I mean, she had been to the Olympics before and
yeah.
placed very well. But Karen and Brady, I mean, really hadn't had a lot of international success. I mean, Karen had a good competition at Worlds last year, but that was like more the exception than the rule for her.
That's right.
So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what we do moving forward and how this is addressed.
Yeah, and can Karen fix her boot problems? Like, I'm done hearing about your boot issues. If anything, if she knows she has a history of boot problems, bring five with you to the Olympics or bring a specialist.
I
I
know.
don't know. Yeah.
Like I hope, because she had that picture on Instagram where it looked like the like base of her skate was like coming off the boot part. But I would sure hope she had a second pair of skates there. I mean, I do think that the downside is, say you have to day of switch to your backup skates. Those, you probably aren't as broken in. You're probably not as comfortable in them. But I feel like Nathan Chen has talked about bringing like 5 pairs of
Yeah,
skates.
that's
The
right.
quads break them down so quickly, and he's also had a lot of issues. But I feel like maybe for somebody like that who's prone to those problems, you just have to be switching what pair of skates you skate in every other day. You know, you have to make sure you have multiple pairs ready to go at any given time. You know, I mean, I think there's been a lot of conversations about excuses that were or were not made
Hmm.
for this result. And I think that ultimately, like, there is no excuse really. It's just they did not skate their best, and the placement was a historic low, which I mean, I think we kind of all saw coming. But I just hope that we can find a way to turn that around in the next 4 years.
Yeah. I don't know why. I really wanted Brady to crack, and I thought it was going to be her prematurely. I really wanted her to break the top six. I think
Mhm.
I was surprised with how well the judges were scoring her for being such a newcomer on the scene. Like Skate America scores, whoa, nationals, and then even the team event here, I was like, whoa, that's a nice score for one of her first major competitions. So I think that's the reason why I was a little hopeful, but I was probably jumping the gun as probably many other fans were doing.
Yeah. I
What
mean, I
a
think the one nice thing about Brady's jumps is I think she's also a skater where you don't really question the rotation when she lands them, you know, and
mhm.
I think that that helps her a lot because Mariah and Karen have a history of under rotating. So I think that that's part of why the judges respond to her is they see these very clean, generally consistent jumps. I think that's exciting. I hope that we get her some better programs next season. I really did
Repackaging.
not care for the Cinderella free ski. I thought it read as very juniorish, and I hope that. And it's also, I mean, she is 20. She's not 15. It felt like a program for a 15-year-old to
That's
me.
right.
That we find her something that feels a little bit more natural for her and is a little bit more exciting.
Hmm. And correct me if I'm wrong, but she doesn't have an A-lister coach, does she?
She does not.
Okay.
I believe that she's one of those skaters who's been skating with the same coach for a very long time. And there was actually, it was in an article somewhere that apparently at Champs Camp they were advised against this free skate, and they opted to keep it anyway. And I think that that might be where having a more inexperienced coach shows a little bit, because I think the people who said that were onto something. They were
Hmm.
thinking about how she would be received on a larger stage, and so. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I feel like this post-Olympic summer is also the time when you see a lot of coaching shuffles and a
Oh,
lot of
yes.
interesting moves being made. So we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody like her ended up going to one of the more well-known coaches.
That's right. So right before I started filming this with you, I just got done filming the ice dance recap with Nicole. So I asked her casually because she also really wanted to do ladies, and I was like, "Okay, what's the answer, Nicole, to fix this problem with the U.S. ladies?" And she was like, "Completely change everything, fire the people in charge, get new people, have the way that the skaters are brought up and trained totally restructured, new coaches." And I was like, "Wow, that sounds like a big change that's not going to happen."
Yeah, I mean, I do think part of it, when you look at, for example, just the United States versus Russia, I
Yes,
think part of it is cultural. I think in Russia, they're much more likely to see a 5-year-old skater with a lot of potential and be like, okay, you're going to devote your whole life to this right now. I think here in the United States, it's a little bit different. You know, I think that priorities are a little bit different often.
hmm,
And I think that it's just like we don't have people devote themselves at such a young age to something a lot of the time. And the one thing I have been thinking about is ice dance has been our best discipline for the last several Olympic cycles. And the one thing that's interesting about the top ice dancers in the world is they train together. Like Marilyn
that is
Charlie and Tessa
true.
and Scott trained together. The Shibutanis were also there. Now Marie France is kind of taking over the ice dance world. And I know one of the common arguments people make for how we can fix the program for women's skating here is maybe a more centralized coaching system, you know, to be more competitive, like what Atari does in Russia, you know, have these girls in more direct competition throughout the year. And I think that that seems to have worked for ice dance, and we've been succeeding there. So I do think that that's worth considering, you know, seeing if maybe there should be a more localized rank. I mean, of course, there's a few big coaches, around the country, but we haven't really had a situation where all the top women are training together. And I wonder how that might affect things.
That is true. I always thought that such a training situation would be awkward for the skaters, and it may be, but maybe that's what they need.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's definitely awkward, but it produces success sometimes. I mean, we've seen it, I mean, both in women and in ice dance and men with first and third, same coach. Like you see a lot of that at the top, and you have to wonder if that's really motivational.
Yeah, I always thought it was a good thing that Ashley Wagner trained with Nathan Chen, but at the same time,
Hmm.
he's not her competitor.
Hmm.
So, yeah,
I think that
let's
it
send
was
Ashley
probably
to
really good for
Russia.
Adam, though.
Yeah,
I think
that's
training
right.
with Nathan was probably great for Adam.
Although he left out his quadlets attempt in the individual event, but that's okay. He skated his
Yeah,
heart
I
out.
mean, yeah.
All right, so just as I thought, Aaron, we spent 13 minutes covering the American ladies, which is perfect. So that covers the top 11. Now we can just talk about anyone else that we wanted to. And I wanted to give a personal shout out to my Australian girl, Kylie Crane, finishing in 17th place, beating out Brooklyn Hahn from the Sochi Olympic Games, not getting any under rotations in her short program. I was a little bummed that she didn't go for the triple loop combination, but I understand that's a big risk. I'm just really happy for her. Also skated to Moulin Rouge in the free program, although different mix, different cuts, so quite different from Ashley Wagner's and Tessa and Scott's. Overall, I think she's lovely and I love her costumes and I am so proud of her. I really hope she gets assigned a Grand Prix assignment this upcoming season. And if it's Skate America, because that's in my backyard, even better.
Yeah, I thought she was great, and I did appreciate her Moulin Rouge cut that was not the same piece of music that everyone uses. I thought her and Vincent Zhou had, to me,
Yeah.
the least offensive Moulin Rouge cuts in these Olympics. But yeah, I thought she was great. I love Elizabeth Tursunbayeva.
Oh,
I've always
yes.
found her adorable. I think that she has great skating skills, and I know that she also had been struggling with an injury
Yeah.
that was preventing her from doing certain jumps. And I thought that given what she was able to do, she turned out a really great free skate here and ended up finishing pretty respectably. So, performance from her to finish the event. And I was
Yeah.
also happy to see Maya Berenice skate better in the free here than she did in the team event or in the short. Because
Great.
I think, yeah, she's definitely, I mean, she was in the top 10 in Sochi. And I mean, she's definitely, I think, struggled with her jump since. But I feel like the crowd really fell in love with her after she skated to Beyonce in the short. And I
Yeah.
was glad to see her have some more success in the free.
Yes. Do you like her better than her costume changing teammate?
I do, I think. I
I
mean,
do too.
she also did the costume change in the free skate,
I was gonna
which
say
was,
I didn't see her
yeah.
skate.
I do prefer her. I think that she seems technically to have passed her peak a little bit. I mean, the jumps have not always been there for her recently, but I think she turned in a pretty solid performance here in the free skate.
Yeah, and you also mentioned Elizabeth, who, by the way, is super tiny. Actually am a bigger fan of her mom in the Kiss and
Yeah.
Cry. I think she's the star of the show. But
Yes.
I couldn't get past some of the choreography in the short program to Carmen.
Yeah, she is not a skater that I think should be skating to Carmen. I mean, I think, yeah, I don't think that's the right choice for her at all.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Excellent. Well, I think we covered it all. Erin, thank you so much for joining me on this video. I could not have done it without you.
of course, thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun.
Yes, we have to get you back for another video sometime. And to everybody watching, thank you so much. And you'll catch me in another video. I have one more, which is pairs, which I'll do tomorrow night with my friend Claire. So I'll see you all then. Thank you.
Bye.